I see that we do have a couple of people that are here now. And
Yes.
so I just wanted to introduce myself. My name's Ira Berkowitz, and I am the VP of Sales over at Tri-Chem. And this is going to be the first of many webinars that we're going to do to help you with some expertise and save you time and money, and hopefully have your repairs done correctly by your in-house people, saving you time and money, and of course the repairs lasting. So knowledge is king. Hopefully this provides you some knowledge and expertise to make these repairs correctly. If you do have a sales rep at Tri-Chem, they have been notified that you're going to be attending the webinar today. And if you don't have a salesperson, please feel free to contact me directly, and I will make sure that I give you one of our experts that can help you with any questions or concerns that you have in the future. I'm going to give everybody my email address. You can certainly reach me at the phone number that's listed on your computer right now. Again, my name is Ira Berkowitz, Berkowitz, and I am the VP of Sales here. My email address is iberkowitz, again, Berkowitz, at tri-chem.com. So iberkowitz at tri-chem.com. So I'm going to turn it over to Mike. Again, thank you. We will have a lot of webinars in the future, and hopefully this helps you out in your position and doing the job correctly. Mike, go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. And first of all, thank you for taking time out of your schedules to join us today. As Ira mentioned, this is our first of many technical PowerPoint webinar presentations to enlighten you on some of the topics that you deal with on a daily basis. As you can see from the slide presentation here today, we're going to be talking about repairing cracks, falls, and damaged joints. My position with Tri-Chem is I am the technical director for Tri-Chem as it relates to the coatings. I've been in the construction repair business for 23 years. I'm a member of International Concrete Repair Institute and CSI Construction Specifier Institute. So I spend a lot of time dealing with this matter. So I will present this. We'll have some time at the end of the meeting for questions. And hopefully, when I designed this presentation, I wanted to make it simple but informative. So let's get started. Oh, Mama said to be. Okay, here we go. So the purpose of today's meeting. Who is Tri-Chem? We'll talk for a minute or two about what Tri-Chem's background is and who we are. We're going to talk about the basics of concrete composition. We're going to talk about the different repair products that are available on the market, and more specifically, the solutions that Tri-Chem offers you and your staff. The causes and the repair methods of cracks, the repair methods for larger patches, and effectively using EPC, Epoxy Polymer Concrete, and then how to apply basic coatings. Today, we're not going to spend as much time on applying basic epoxy coatings. Our second series of webinars is going to be more into the application of coatings. Today, we're going to talk mostly on the rehab or the remediation of damaged concrete. So who is Tri-Chem? Tri-Chem's been around for over 50 years, so we're not a new entity by any stretch of the imagination. We feel we've been a leader in helping our clients solve their toughest facility maintenance problems. I think unlike some of our competition, some of the things that make us stand out is that our sales staff is designed to deliver one-on-one attention. So as you do business with Tri-Chem, you would be assigned one representative responsible for your account. However, behind your sales representative is a full team of support in whatever specific need. If it was come to coatings, it would be myself and our chemist, John Tellis, and of course, on other things like tooling needs, we have the same team behind you as well. We manufacture our own products, and we have the ability to offer customizations. As an example, just a few weeks ago, We had a customer call us that had a bowling alley and wanted a specific coating design for their bowling alley, and right now we're in the R&D process of designing that. So we have our standard offerings, but again, having a full team behind you, we also have the availability to talk about your specific needs and offer customized solutions. And our buying team specializes in shopping the market for the best products that fit our customers' needs at fair and competitive prices. So let's get into the gist of the program today. So let's talk about concrete, the enemy, for just a second. There's only really two things we know about concrete. One, it gets hard, and two, it cracks. Probably a third one would be nobody steals it. But right now, as far as this presentation is concerned, the only things that we know with 100% certainty is it does get hard and it does crack. So what is concrete? Contrary to popular belief, concrete and cement are not the same thing. Cement is just a component of concrete itself. Concrete is made up of three basic components, as you can see on your screen: water, aggregate, which would be containing rock, sand, and or gravel. And again, a lot of that will vary depending on where you are in the United States. For example, the northern part of the United States will see a lot more rock and a lot more gravel and a lot less sand. As we migrate south and we get down toward the southern states, we'll see a lot more sand and we'll see rock and gravel. And then the third component would be Portland cement. Cement is usually a powder form. It acts as the binding agent when it's mixed with the water and the aggregates. So it's really the glue that holds the matrix together. The combination or the concrete mix will be poured and hardened into the durable material, which we're all familiar with and we'll talk about today. Repairing cracks. The first thing I want to point out is this piece of equipment right here is called the crack chaser. And here you can see what a typical crack in concrete would look like prior to using a V-blade, which we'll talk about, I believe, on the next slide. And here you can see what that V-blade actually does to route out or clean or chase your crack. Cracks in concrete usually occur for one of three reasons. One, too dry of a concrete mix used and components never obtain the strength needed. And that can happen for a myriad of reasons. As we get toward warmer weather, hopefully sooner than later, it's not uncommon for batch concrete trucks to leave the factory with a specific cement water ratio, and by the time they get to a job site, it dries out a little bit. So that can be too dry of a concrete mix used. Secondly, would be control and expansion joints, or what we call construction joints, were not put in deep enough, or too few were used to actually control the cracking or the expansion of concrete. And then thirdly would be severe changes or point loads on the concrete in your specific factory. And that could be for a myriad of reasons: heavy machinery, new offices that have been added that stress out the concrete, new racking with inventory that puts stress on concrete that it wasn't designed to handle that kind of point load, and it would cause a crack. So those are really what I feel in my experience has the three main reasons that concrete cracks. Concrete will expand and contract for its entire life. We know that it takes 28 days to get to its maximum strength, but over the period, the life of it, whether it's 20 years or 50 years old, as it gets hot, it will expand, and as it gets cold, it will contract. And that will happen in the entire lifespan of the concrete. So how do we repair cracks? Again, I want to make note to the picture over here. As we talked about the V-blade running those cracks, after that V-blade is done, this is what your crack looks like. And this crack is ready for remediation or repair. So how do we repair cracks? First, we want to clean out the crack and remove any loose concrete or debris. If you can find a crack chasing blade at Lowe's or Menards or Home Depot, That's the best. It's typically designed to look like a V, and it basically, you put it on a small grinder and it just chases the crack out and cleans it out. That is what I feel is the best method for long-term success for repairing cracks. Vacuum out any remaining debris so that we've got a solid, clean V-channeled crack to apply material to. And then apply one of two Tri-Chem products. We have a brand new product that we're going to go over here in a few called the Easy Pour Crack Filler, and we have our 663 repair paste. Our goal when we see a crack like this is to actually re-weld the concrete back together to get it back to the tensile strength that it was designed to be, or actually higher tensile strength. We're not just trying to pack it full of something to be a crack where it doesn't hold dirt and debris anymore. The long-term goal should be to get this thing re-welded back together to be actually stronger than the concrete that it was poured. So the first product that we have is called 663 Rapid Repair Paste. And this picture that you see, it comes in a tube set. And here you have your A side and your B side, and it comes through this static mix nozzle, which has got swirls in it, and it mixes itself until it comes out at the tip. And then this special 300 by 300 milliliter cartridge set sits in this gun. It has an easy ratchet, so it's an easy pull, and you just go along your crack. It is 100% solids epoxy, and it's designed for a fast return to service for any of your repairs. It comes in two versions. It comes in the picture that we see to the right, the 300 by 300 milliliter tube set, or it comes in a 32 ounce kit where you have a small package of 16 ounces of A and 16 ounces of B. You mix it with a stir stick, and you can apply it with a putty knife or a drywall knife. You've got about 5 to 10 minutes of working time with the product. So depending on the size of the crack, you only want to mix up as much as you can get down in about 5 to 10 minutes. It will get as hard as concrete or harder than concrete in 45 to 60 minutes. It's a superior formulation that actually welds the concrete back together. If we look at this square picture that we see on here of the material, we've done testing where we've actually taken a 12-inch by 12-inch piece of concrete. We've cracked it down the middle. We welded it back together with the 663. We've let it cure and then tried to crack it, and it actually shatters or fractures on each side of the 663. The 663 turns out to be stronger than the actual concrete itself. So it's actually welding itself back together. It is USDA and FDA approved. There's absolutely no spell. It is 100% solids epoxy, and it will dry to a medium gray color. The black and the white will mix at the tube and come out as a concrete gray. The next product that we have to talk about is called our Easy Pour Crack Filler, and this is a brand new product to Tri-Chem. This is something that we found in Europe. It's European technology that hasn't made it to the United States, but we've been able to find a transporter to get it to us, and we've been having great success with this product. It's a revolutionary way of installing joint material without the use of cartridges or a pump. It's the next generation of polyurea material, extending the boundaries of the science of polyurea into the construction industry. And I'll explain what that means. That's kind of a long run-on sentence. The cartridges and pumps have many problems. Pumps break down, cartridges can crack, they can leak, they can get frozen. There's some limitations with them, and they can be time-consuming. Job conditions and availability can also dictate an either-or scenario using one or both. Both can be very costly and wasteful. With this new product, the way that it's packaged, it eliminates problems with the mix ratio application. It provides more versatility in available colors, selection, and inventory. The adhesion, due to its lower viscosity than the 663, offers an amazing side of the repair adhesion and to the bottom as well. The elongation, the hardness, and the UV and color stability are also great features of that product. And on top of it, it's easy to apply and it's very economical for cracks. So let's show how this product is designed to work. It is 100% solids aliphatic polyurea. Polyureas are either aliphatic, meaning that they have no smell, or they're aromatic, which means that they've got an odor to them and have some VOCs. This product is 100% solids, 0 VOC, aliphatic polyurea. So just to kind of back up just a second, the 663 repair product that we talked about was 100% solids epoxy. This product is 100% solids aliphatic polyurea. And for those of you that don't know what 100% solids mean, what that means is whatever you place down will dry out. So if you have a product that's 100% solids, like this product, and you put this into your cracks, and it will dry at the same thickness that you put it in. If we were using an 80% solids product, you would say put it down, and after it dried, it would dry to 80%. So when you're comparing products and you want to compare the percentage of solids of what you're using, our two products that we're discussing here are 100% solids. It's odorless and has no smell. It has 600% elongation, which means that it will stretch 6 times itself before it snaps, which makes it great for moving cracks and construction joints. You've got 15 minutes of working time with it, and you can shave it smooth in 60 to 90 minutes. And the kits are all pre-measured so that there's no way for you to make any kind of mismix. It comes in an easy pour bottle for nice clean repairs without having to use any tape. So here is the easy pour crack system in pictorial. Here you see the bottle, the A side, the B side, the top of the bottle, and the mix paddle. And one of the things that we do is this also comes in half gallons. But when these packages come, it comes labeled quart, and this is a quart bottle. So basically, you take the entire contents, you add the pre-measured A into the bottle, and you can see that the nozzles are designed to fit perfectly into the bottle with no miss. You add your part B, which is the hardener. You mix it with a special drill blade that's designed to have no spillage. You remove the drill blade after 2 minutes, and then you apply it into your crack. And you can cut the tip of this bottle to the width of your crack. If you've got wide cracks, you can cut it to the bottom here. If you've got small cracks, then you can just cut off the very tip of it. So that's the products. So let's talk now about the proper way to repair a damaged construction joint. This picture here, this diagram here, shows a joint that was originally put into the concrete. And I see quite a bit when I go through factories where I see where the joints have been broken down by fork truck traffic or point loads that shatter it. And these become, as your fork truck traffic travels across the floor, they become hazards and bumps where loads can shift and cause problems. So the way to actually fix this joint is to saw cut this a 1/2 inch deep on each side of the damaged area. Remove all of this loose concrete, and once these joints are cut, this will be very easy to remove. Fill this back in with either of the two products that we just discussed, and your joint will be taken care of. Now we'll talk about spalls, pop-outs, and hole repair. So these are different than joints that we just discussed in cracks. So a spall can be something where the cement paste pops off. Pop-outs can be little holes. Maybe they can be holes where there used to be a machine mounted to the floor, or we can have holes where there's been some plumbing remediation or posts have been moved and we have larger holes. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to clean out any loose debris from the hole. Again, we want to chip it back like the previous diagram, a 1/2 inch on each side of the damaged area. And for holes that are a 1/2 inch deeper, we want to pre-fill those with pea gravel and sand mix to keep it to below a 1/2 inch of the surface. That way we've got that flexibility down below the patch material. And the example that I have here is a glass jar. If we took a glass jar and we filled it with golf balls and we held it up to the light, we would see light come in through the voids of the golf balls. If we then added pea gravel to that, shook that jar up, held it up to the light, you would see a lot less light, but you would still see some light come through the difference between the size of the golf balls and the pea gravel. If we then added sand to it and shook it up and held it up, you would not be able to see any light. So that's kind of the theory between using pea gravel, sand, and epoxy for your repairs, your deeper repairs. Again, apply Tri-Chem's patch to 663 repair paste, our extreme patch, which we'll go over in just a second, and also our 233 low temperature 45-degree epoxy. So again, this is just expanded. We don't have the joint in the middle anymore. Here we're going to cut back this at a 1/2 inch, this at a 1/2 inch. We're going to remove all of this deteriorated concrete, and then we're going to do our patch somewhere down below here. And it may, depending on how sound the concrete is, it may go down this way. But we want to make sure that we get anything that's loose and deteriorated and not strong removed. Be careful in this stage right here of what kind of jackhammer you use. I've seen some facility folks use a big jackhammer, and what that can do is cause micro cracking down through the concrete that we won't see, and we're kind of defeating the purpose of repairing this area of damaged concrete. The electric jackhammers or a sledgehammer and a chisel, depending on the size of the repair, work pretty good. Now we'll talk about our 233 LT45 fast drying epoxy. This is an epoxy that was designed to cure at 45 degrees. And the reason that we'll talk about at today's presentation of curing is any temperature over 45 degrees will cause this product to dry very fast. So if your factory is at 65, 68, 70 degrees, instead of drying in about 6 to 8 hours, this will dry in 1 to 2 hours, making a very strong patch. It's designed for deeper patches of no more than 3 inches. And we'll cover deeper patches in a few minutes. The reason that we say that if you're going to use just straight epoxy as your fill material to not go more than 3 inches is as epoxy cures, it creates heat. The A, which is the resin, and the B and the hardener come together and they create heat. Once we start getting down below 3 inches, we can see some fractures in that epoxy matrix. So if you're going to be using the LT45 by itself, make sure that it's no more than 3 inches. It's 100% solids liquid designed to cure at 45 degrees. When mixed with dry silica sand, now you can make a fast drying repair mortar. There's no VOCs, and again, this is USDA and FDA accepted. And the standard mix ratio to make a nice repair mortar is 150 pounds of sand to 1.5 gallons of the LT45. Now that makes a fairly decent sized batch of repair material. If you wanted to make a smaller batch, you could cut that back to 75 pounds of sand and 0.75 gallons. You could also make it a little bit drier. If you've got some concrete background and you're used to applying concrete, you can make it a drier patch by adding more sand. If you're new to the patching game, then you can use a little bit less sand, make it a little bit looser mix so it's easier to place. This is a neat product. This is a really neat product that we have here at Tri-Chem. It's called Extreme Patch. This is a very high tensile strength. Most concrete will dry after 28 days to a PSI of between 3,000 and 5,000 PSI. This product, when it cures out, dries to 15,500 PSI. So it's a very, very, very dense, high-strength epoxy patch material. It's a 3-component kit. It's all prepackaged. Your aggregate, which is wetted out with the A, and then your B, and your mix bucket. So basically, everything you need to do the patch is inside your bucket. It's very resin rich, and what resin rich means is, as you mix all the components together, you'll see that it's a very wet mix that accepts damp areas and becomes self-leveling. Now in this picture, we've got somebody troweling it in, and it won't self-level perfectly by itself, but if you were to dump this into a deep hole, it would come very close to being level on its own. It's extremely chemical resistant. It's resistant to acids, alkalis, solvents, things like hexane, jet fuel, ketchup, lactic acid, and dairy facilities. This has got an extremely high chemical resistance to it. And you've got 90-minute working time. So everything that we've talked about prior to this, you know, you've got 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 15 minutes to get down. Here we've got 90 minutes to get this patch material. So if you're doing a new pad where you're going to put some equipment, or you've got a secondary containment area where you've got to repair some curbing, this is a nice product to use. There are 2 kit sizes. The small kit, or what we call a single kit, will give you 22 to 24 square feet at a 1/4 inch thickness. A master kit will do 220 to 240 square feet at a 1/4 inch. If you want to apply this at a 1/2 inch, obviously just divide those numbers. So that's the extreme patch. And now we'll talk lastly about the deep patching of concrete. And what we're really talking about here are maybe you've had some plumbing remediation done in your facility, and you've got holes where the option is to pour Portland cement or a high star or a 5-star or a high early accelerated concrete mix. We have a different solution for you. Concrete will not stick to itself less than 2 inches thick. Patches deeper than 2 inches thick, if you're going to pour concrete on top of it, have to be doweled, vertically doweled, so that it will stick to itself. Concrete just does not like itself. If you use concrete, you must use either a curing membrane on top of the new patch to prevent rapid hydration and cracking, and that puts you right back where we started in this presentation. The same is true with cementitious patches sold by our competition. Cementitious patch is basically lightweight concrete. It has water and a cementitious paste to it, and we don't recommend that for deep patching of concrete at all. Tri-Chem does not sell cementitious patch materials due to the high failure rates. We have a solution called Epoxy Polymer Concrete. By combining our 100% solids epoxy along with multiple aggregates, silica sand and pea gravel, we get a very high strength patch material that can be produced. The key to any long-term patch, as we've talked about, is removing the unstable concrete to get to a solid substrate. But as on point 2 here, I want to go back just a second here. When we talk about high strength, here we're down with our epoxy polymer concrete. Regular concrete is 3,000 to 5,000 psi. This patch material will be about 10,000 to 12,000 psi. So twice to 3 times the strength of regular concrete. With EPC, you'll get much better adhesion to the concrete underneath it than a cementitious patch. The epoxy resin attaches itself to the side of the clean concrete that you've got and to the bottom, and will hold on. That will be your glue that will glue to the side and the bottom of your damaged concrete. It's not water. On a cementitious patch, that water has a tendency to just evaporate itself into the dryness of the concrete or evaporate itself out through the top. EPC can reach both a high compressive strength and a high tensile strength in hours versus days. So if you've ever used an accelerated cure concrete patch in your factory and it needs to be coated, you need to wait about 7 to 10 days before you can apply a coating. With this, you need to wait about 6 to 8 hours. Once it's hard enough that you can't put a fingerprint in it, then it's ready to be coated. So it offers a lot of advantages in quicker return to service. The multiple size aggregates that we're going to use in this, again, gets back to the glass jar example. It's an extremely dense patch, which is less permeable to absorbing oils and waters than cementitious options. So what you've got is a very dense sealed surface versus something that's cementitious that oil, stains, hydraulic fluids, any kind of contaminants you would have in your factory can permeate into. The resin-rich solution allows a high-strength concrete to create a strong bond, but it also densifies the surrounding concrete. At a certain thickness, as that the weight of the pea gravel and the sand and the epoxy go down, it has a tendency to push the resin of the epoxy into the sides of the crack and into the bottom, and it will actually densify that area around the patch. So you won't get that with a cement patch or a concrete patch. Here are just some different aggregate sizes that you can use. Over here we see some pea gravel, and it comes in a myriad of sizes. And over here are just different size meshes of silica sand. My personal favorite is to use a 400 mesh, a 46 mesh, and the pea gravel with the liquid, and I've never had a problem with that. And again, when you do the deep patch, it's similar to what we've talked about here. We're going to have to saw cut the shoulder of the deep patches, remove everything down, and this could be 1 inch, this could be 8 inches, this could be 2 feet. We want to get back down to solid concrete or good gravel. If this is going to be a very deep patch where we're down into earth and dirt and rock, we want to build a solid base before we apply our epoxy polymer concrete. If we're going to be taking our new patch into an existing floor surface, I'm sorry that happened. I don't know how to go back. What I was trying to explain with that slide is at the very edge of where your patch goes into your existing floor surface, you need to make a little bit deeper cut so that the floor actually rolls slightly into that so you don't have a trip hazard. And again, I really apologize for that. We thank you for your attendance. We'll be sending you out a certificate of achievement. You'll also be getting a zip drive with this presentation on it for your staff. And you'll also be getting a $50 off coupon for the purchase of any Tri-Chem purchases. Do we have any questions? If you're on mute, you can maybe unmute and we can answer some questions. No questions? Okay, well, I appreciate your attendance. Tri-Chem appreciates your past patronage. If you're not a customer of Tri-Chem, we would hope that you would try us out, and here's $50 coupon for you to try out at no cost to you. Thank you again for your time. We'll talk soon.